Welcome to Drips of Consciousness. I am Christel Crawford, and you are invited to a completely different world where my epiphanies in consciousness could change everything for you. I was on YouTube this morning, and YouTube thinks he knows me, and so it was suggesting different videos that he thought I would like. And there's been this one particular lady that keeps popping up on my suggested viewing list. I need to just click a button and say don't see her again. Although today I was a little curious because I'm like, for what reason does YouTube think this lady is similar to what I do or what I love? So I went into her channel and I started, one of her videos, and I started listening, and one of the first things she started talking about was the download, and I'm paraphrasing, which is why I'm not going to give her name, because I'm going to probably butcher what she said actually. But the sense of it was she has been called by higher beings to contribute and help mankind to ascend during this time. And she's a channeler, and so that's what she does. And this video was she had spent some time in the morning with these light beings, what she called light beings, and had a message for us. And so she proceeded to go into that. I popped out of that video at about the 3-minute mark, and I kind of traipsed around her channel a bit more and watched a couple more videos just to get more of a sense. And then I went to her website and read all of that. And I think the thing that struck me the most was that, well, one, she was functioning from just knowing that she was doing what she was supposed to do, which was cool. I appreciate that. The second thing that was really interesting to me is that her stuff is really popular. And one of the videos that I watched was her inviting whoever to her inner circle, which is on Patreon. And for $23 a month, you could get access to all of her past live sessions, and then she described what was in the group, and she goes live 4 to 5 times a month, and this video is that, and this live is that, and on some of them you could get on live with her and ask her your questions, and she would channel a message for you. But it was more about giving you answers to your questions, and not so much about facilitating what you know. And this is really popular, which I'm not sure why that surprised me. It just did. It sort of hit me interestingly. And it was then that I really recognized the difference in, what we do with Access Consciousness tools and as facilitators of the tools, and, what other people are calling consciousness that may not be. And with this conversation, you always use your tool of light and heavy. What makes you lighter and gives you more of a sense of space and possibility is true for you, and what lands like a brick or feels heavy, sad, any of those other heavier energies, it just isn't true for you. And that's what I was using with looking at all of her stuff. I was like, wow, this is really interesting, because it's got the appearance of light and the appearance of consciousness and the appearance of contribution without really being any of that. And that's something that I've just been really getting on so many different levels, relationships and people, and mostly that on the people level, where something can look like something and not be that thing. But yeah, I think the thing that really struck me was how popular it was. And I realized as I looked at that it really is more popular to go looking for the answers. And it's, when you find somebody that's willing to give them to you, that can probably feel like relief for a while. The only thing about that, though, that I've seen and experienced for myself is that if somebody does give you an answer and you buy it, and it doesn't give you freedom, then there's something in that that's not true for you. And that's the goddamn gift of these access consciousness tools, and also as facilitators, is that we're trained and we are empowered to empower you with, well, what do you know about this? And what are your abilities with perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving the spirit world, for example, or the beings of light that you're aware of? What are you aware of? And we not just put the ball back in your court, but we actually put it in your court. Because I think so much of our lives and so much of the time we give our power away. We function as if we don't know. We function as if we can't possibly know. I had a moment the other day where, I've been going through this transformation process with my body, and the latest leg of the journey has been a full month now where I haven't been able to, move or work out in the way that I would love. But I'm very extreme, so I love extreme movement. And but my shoulder is opening again after 8 years of being frozen. And so that's requiring some twice a week of physio and acupuncture and different kinds of exercises to really give it a chance to heal. And then my back went out in the middle. And so that's been, actually that was a huge gift because that kind of forced me to not move so that my shoulder could heal. But I had a day last week where I sort of had a meltdown. I was feeling, I don't know, it was a convergence of things. I was feeling frustrated that I couldn't move in the way that I wanted to. I was seeing the shift in musculature, from lean muscle to a little more fat already. It doesn't take long, actually, for that to occur. I was just frustrated that my target of, being at a certain point, by Christmas wasn't going to happen. And I don't know, it just converged, and I probably needed my bars run. And I had a good cry, and then I had a physio appointment later that day, and I went in, and he noticed I was down, and I said, well, let me just ask you some questions. And so I got some more information from him about, the impingement and how my body works and da-da-da-da-da. But one of the things that I caught myself doing in the middle of all of this was, I don't know what to do. I kept hearing myself say that, I don't know what to do. And, I was going into, I don't know what to do about, I don't know what exercises to do and what exercises not to do, and I don't know what to eat and what not to eat. I was doing a whole bunch of just, I don't know. And I didn't hear myself for a while. And then I don't know what changed it, but, I was talking out loud to myself probably after my partner went to work, and I heard myself say it. And look, I am one of those facilitators where when you come to my class, I tell you straight out, the only thing you're not allowed to say in my class is, I don't know. Because I don't know is an invalidation of you. When you say, I don't know, you're not getting present with you. You're not actually looking at what you do know. You're not even looking at if that's true. You're completely 100% disempowering you. Well, and that's all well and good to say that to somebody else. But when it's you, right, you don't typically hear yourself. Well, thank God I finally heard it. And I was like, wow, wait a second. Is it true that I don't know? Is it true that my body doesn't know? And of course that was, no, that's not true. And so it was interesting because I had been crying and carrying on until that moment. And the moment I said, is that true? And I got present with what was true, which is that I do know and my body does know. The second simultaneous thing that popped up was that up to that moment, I'd been really unwilling to ask my body and listen. I'd asked my body and listened up to a certain point, but when it'd come to this injury time or recovering from injury, or I don't even know what the correct language is for that, it's not even really, I don't know if it's healing, but whatever that is. When it comes to that, I hadn't dug in and gotten super present with my body. I was starting to freak out based on my own decisions about what should be happening and my projections about what was happening and all this other stuff that was disempowering me. So I calmed down immediately as soon as I realized that. And instantly after that was, okay, body, well, what do you know? Is it time to just chill the fuck out and let you do your thing? And it was such a huge yes. But I had to surrender to what I knew. It was a total surrendering. And that's what I wonder about when it comes to people that go looking for people that have answers. It's like, does it feel or does it seem too risky to actually ask what you know? Does it require too much of you? Does it require you to be fierce with, because sometimes I have to ask, when I'm avoiding knowing, I have to get aggressive with me and go, truth, da 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 da, yes or no. Like I have to aggressively put truth in front of the question, only let it be a yes or no for me not to lie to myself. And it isn't that often anymore, but I still find these pockets where I hadn't yet been willing to know. And so is that what it is? And I guess I just wonder what it would take for more of us to be willing to be the strong that knowing is. And to know what and that we know, even when it makes no sense to ourselves and no sense to our mind, no sense to anybody else, and to follow it fiercely. Not because of anything, not because we know how it's going to turn out or it's logical or any of that other shit that most people use to make decisions about, but we just let ourselves, we actually ask. We get curious about what we know. We actually ask and we get awareness and we follow that. I wonder what it would take. I wonder what it would take for more of us to choose that. Thank you so much for listening to this show. My target is to make consciousness easy to find. So if you enjoyed this, please leave a 5-star review and also share this with a friend who you know might be looking for more consciousness in their life. You can visit me on ChrystelJoyCrawford.com, and to learn more about the incredible life-changing tools of Access Consciousness, go to accessconsciousness.com and theclearingstatement.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast.